And hello, good morning. I'm David Boles. This is Boles.tv. BOLES.tv every time. Give it a little jiggle. Oh, and I can hear the television in the other room. Hang on a second. This is not so good. Be right back. I'll leave the microphone on as you can hear me scamper from one side of the room to the other. One moment, please. Oh boy. You turn everything down and everything breaks loose, including yourself. Now I'm back. Oh boy. Hi. You think everything's all set up. You ready to go. Your beautiful wife is joining you live and in person from your beating heart chest. This is the Jana Marie right here, huh? From our merch store, J.M. Sweeney. Live with you, Saturdays and Sundays, 11 a.m. Eastern. You can buy her beautiful face right here, right now. Bolesbuy.com/MERCH. So this is Boles TV, and we talk about all kinds of different things here. One of them that we always like to talk about is, after saying hello, good evening, and good night, is this odd situation with the weather. Last week we were in the 70s, the weekend we were in the 90s, now we're like in the 60s. So this is where it becomes a very interesting question. You have the air conditioning on for the first time all season because it's 95 degrees outside. And then you have a couple of really nice days and temperatures are in the 50s and 60s, but you know, the whole place is cool and feeling nice. Do you turn off the air conditioning and then open the windows and turn on the fans? Circulate fresh air? Yes, I like that a lot. But the problem with that is, then it gets a little humid. And you start sweating a little bit and get a little shiny because you're a little bit hot in a long sleeve shirt. And you don't want to turn the fan up too loud because then it's going to affect the microphone. I tell you, first world problems, you know, make it hard to sleep at night. So I did make the decision. Everything, the entire apartment is very cool and delicious, except for our little back office corner here where it's very hot and sweaty. And I have the fan on, but it's not enough. And then I go 10 feet that way. Oh boy, it's so cold I need a jacket. Now, speaking of merchandise, I am wearing what I call a tan colored shirt. Did I lose my background? No. Because back here, as you can see, tan Ciera. It's our theme for the day. Everything's tan. That is a tan color. It may not look tan, but it is tan. This is tan. Not cream, not dark brown, not dark tan, but just tan. And I don't really look good in tan. I am told that I am a winter color person, which means blue, reds, blues, teals, not oranges, yellows, or bright greens. Tan is sort of, is it a color? Is it not a color? But when you look at the picture of the beautiful one, well, laddies, this whole background sort of is, believe it or not, tan-ish. And it looks fantastic on the shirt. So then you become a tan person. But I don't know if this is washing me out. I don't know if it's adding to my color or if it's just part of my pasty white skin conglomeration that we have come to know and love. Well, in other news, sometimes no news is good news, and sometimes the news is absolutely the same news. Oh, everybody's all upset about this school shooting. Oh, really? It's just all so false and phony now. We've become tired of it because we know nothing's going to happen. And the news shows this morning, instead of their ba-ba-ba, it's news, breaking news. No. Now it's all soft pianos and violins. And we're mourning the 27 school shootings we've had so far this year, and we don't know what to do about it. We have no clue how to stop people from shooting children. We just can't do anything about it. We're America. We're completely paralyzed by indecision. Bum, bum, bum. Violins. Hey, it's just so sickening. And it's true. Guns are America. We're a bloody place to live. Shooting in Texas yesterday, just 10 days after a shooting at a supermarket in Buffalo. How quickly we forget. There have been 26 school shootings that occurred prior to Tuesday's tragedy. Of the 26 shootings with injuries or death, 40 people were injured, 6 people killed, 5 students or other children, and 1 staff member. Hey, there's Gordon. It's the reason The Onion had a boilerplate article about mass shootings that just changes a few key details. There you go. I have created a similar thing that I'm not going to use. It's a tweet. I'll show it to you in a second. The organization tracks shootings where a firearm was discharged and where any person other than the suspect has a bullet wound resulting from the accident. Education Week also only includes incidents that happen on a kindergarten through 12th grade. Not colleges, not community colleges, universities, schools, only up to the 12th grade, because that's all that matters. 12th grade school property or on a school bus. And that occurs when a school is in session or during a school-sponsored event. They don't track cases in which the only shots fired were from a school resource officer or police officer. Well, isn't that wonderful? So this is my tweet from this morning. And I'm not going to use this as my boilerplate. That every time we have a school shooting, I'm going to, I guess, dig up this tweet and retweet it. Fill in the blanks. Thoughts and prayers, and nobody cares. That's what school shootings are made of. Oh, they'll send all the thoughts and prayers you want. But will they stop somebody from doing it the next time? No, they don't want to. And they, I mean conservatives. Republicans, not interested in stopping school shootings. It's just that simple. And the news could do something about it and humiliate them and put them on the spot and make them defend their indefensible stand, but they don't. They let them go. Hashtag Sandy Hook. Hashtag Thoughts and Prayers. And these were all established hashtags. I didn't make up any of these. Hashtag Nursery Rhymes. Hashtag Uvalde Massacre. Hashtag Columbine. Hashtag Buffalo Massacre. I'm out of massacre hashtags. So I don't know how we get out of it, but I don't think anybody wants to get out of it. I think people are just perfectly satisfied with having our school children shot. Because nothing's being done. And speaking of the dangers, Trump lost big in Georgia last night. People he wanted to win, the people he didn't want to win won. The people who thwarted his attempt to take over the United States were reelected. And here's a very interesting article from Dana Milbank saying that Trump, when he's no longer the king who can sit there on his throne and command people to do what he wants to do, is going to turn to a more dangerous way of thinking and way of being. On Monday, the Trump-endorsed candidate for governor in Georgia, former Senator David Perdue, closed out his failing campaign for the Republican nomination by stripping off the mask and letting fly a starkly racist finale. He said the black Democratic gubernatorial candidate, Stacey Abrams, is demeaning her own race and should go back to where she came from. Back-to-back appeals for violence and white supremacy provide a caution to those celebrating Trump's apparent loss of his kingmaker status in Republican politics. As ugly as things have been with Trump, holding an iron grip over the GOP, they could actually get worse if he feels his grasp is slipping and becomes even more incendiary in his provocations. On Sunday, Trump used his own hapless media company, Truth Social, to share a screenshot of a tweet from Salvadoran president and Trump ally Nayib Bukele, saying of the United States, "Something so big and powerful can't be destroyed so quickly unless the enemy comes from within." Trump retruthed that message along with the two-word commentary at Truth Social usually had appended to it, civil war. So that's what he's betting on. He's betting on people taking up arms to fight for him. And I don't think that'll happen. I'm not sure Dana Milbank is right about that. I think there are people in the Republican Party who can't get away from Trump fast enough. They can't wait for him to disappear, and they can go back to their old churning and worrying and sharing of thoughts and prayers. They don't want anything to do with him. So, if you have the marginalized, hardcore, what they call dark MAGA Trumpers, that's not 50% of the country anymore. You have 50% Democrat. Let's say the dark MAGAs, hardcore, 10% of the Republicans. So that means you have around 40% of Republicans who don't want that. So you put the 50 and the 30 together, and you have 80% of people who don't want Donald Trump. And then you have the troublemakers, the 10%, the 20%, the undecided, the don't cares who go out there and, I guess, whip things up and try to start a civil war. Well, I'll take my chances with 80% against 20%. The 80% will win. And then when the Republicans take control of their own party and start going after them again, the treasonous and the inept, it'll get better. Now, I have been invited, and I am now allowed to speak to this, I've been invited by a major social media company to invite my friends, my NFT artist friends, and that is who I'm speaking to right now, to stay within the lines and the means of any signed documents, that Facebook is having an alpha test of NFTs on their website. And they want to use my business page. It's one of 10 in the world that will be involved in this alpha test that begins like in the middle of June, and then we go into beta later in summer. The problem is, and I'm pitching some interesting ideas, and they're very receptive. They seem like they're really pushing this, which is a good thing. Because if nobody's pushing it, nobody's going to care. So they're pushing from their side. The alpha test is very limited, as I understand, and you have to have a special kind of Ethereum wallet. Okay. Well, I don't have that wallet. I use a different wallet. Well, move your assets over from your wallet to this wallet. And I said, well, that's fine, but I have like 52 NFTs. And I'll have to pay gas on that transaction from here to there. And then when I'm done, I'm not going to leave my stuff in that wallet. I'm going to move it back. So I'm going to have to pay gas fees going back. And they like, And I said, well, can you airdrop me some NFTs? Gordon says I'm full of self-doubt, artistically speaking. In my brain, I think I could take construction paper and make some fun abstract art. But my brain shield is telling me, kid, hey kid, you're no good. Nobody will like them. Don't bother. And to that I say, Gordon, go on OpenSea and look around. You're going to see there's a lot of junky junk out there. That I guarantee you're 100 times better. Well, we'll visit my OpenSea page and I'll show you my hidden NFTs. So what I decided, so I said, hey, maybe you guys can drop me some NFTs, airdrop me, which means I don't pay for it, but they would pay the gas, and then I would have some NFTs that I could, you have to, I guess, post 2 NFT-related posts during the week if you're involved in this exclusive alpha. And I said, okay, I can do that, but I don't have my NFTs in the right wallet. I said, okay, well, we'll check into that. And then I said, but hey, what if I went to some of my NFT artist friends, right, and said to them, hey, I'm doing this alpha test on Facebook. Do you want to be in? If you want to be in, drop something to this different wallet than what you're used to dropping in. And the issue is, of course, who's going to pay the gas fee? Well, I'm not paying the gas fee. I'm already working for Facebook for free on this. I can celebrate an artist. I can do a written interview with them. I thought we could maybe even do Facebook Live with them as part of this NFT thing. It's a lot of work. So they would have to eat the gas fee, which can be anywhere from $3 to, as high as $150. They're not going to pay $150. And then I said, when this is over, because you're doing, this without anybody buying it, I will either burn the NFT, which costs me gas fees. I will either transfer the NFT to my other existing wallet that you're aware of and make a deal with you for payment. Or I can send it back to you and I'll pay the gas fee. Like I'm borrowing it from you for a little while. So there's some interest. I've only contacted a few people so far, and I'm going to have to contact more because people are slow to respond. And people want more information. Are they opening up an NFT marketplace? Are they good questions? I'll see if I can find out. But the interesting part of this is I am interested in really pushing this for artists that I really like, who may not be verified, but who are very, very talented. But they rely on these NFTs to pay their basic nut, their monthly nut. So to them, paying a gas fee is a lot of money. And then you move higher up into the chain, and the people who sell their stuff for thousands of dollars, and you make a couple of approaches and say, hey, this may, you may be way above this, but... And you get a response back this morning like, I'm in, I think it's fantastic. Like, what? You would expect just the opposite. You would expect the desperate people who are dying, who want to be on an exclusive NFT alpha, to be all in 100%. Got it. I'll send you these NFTs. We'll worry about it later. Go, baby, go. No. I guess it makes sense. You're established. You make a lot of money on your art. To you, a gas fee is part of doing business. You write off your taxes. I want to be in on Facebook and their NFT launch. Oh boy. What do you need? I'll send it to you right now. It's a very interesting dynamic that I did not expect or predict, but that I should have. So I'm going to deal with that today. I'm going to unravel it. So this is my OpenSea account that we visited many times. This is because I'm logged into my account. Only I can see hidden collected is public. That's everything that I own. And then hidden, I have learned, although nobody really explained this to me, I just kind of figured it out, are NFTs that people send me that are airdropped. Gordon says, so could you post a link to where this Facebook space is where we can mint NFTs to send you? That is not what this is. You would mint it wherever you mint it, like on OpenSea. And then you would get the special wallet address from me and send it to me. Called airdropping. And then as I understand it, then the Facebook thing is like, it's going to be a gallery. So you'll go to my business page, facebook.com/BOLES, eventually, and you'll be able to see an NFT profile picture, an NFT banner, and there'll be a special section, like a page, that is my, hey, this is my NFT collection. Just like kind of OpenSea, which is very interesting because maybe it will be a marketplace. I don't know. They're not telling me yet because they haven't answered me. But it makes sense that it should be, eventually. And then you can click on it and you can visit my NFT collection. It's very slick. If I'm understanding it, but look, it's not even beta. This is alpha, so things get broken very quickly. So you would mint wherever you're minting, and then you would send wherever you're sending that I would give to you. And then we go from there. But this is my hidden page on OpenSea that only I can see. And as you can see, there are 19 things hidden, but I can only see like 6 or 7 of them because these are things that are sent by non-verified accounts on OpenSea to people who did not buy them. So these are artists looking for exposure, trying to get attention, who will pay the gas fee to try to make you click on this to unhide it so it becomes part of your permanent collection. I have never unhid anything, but this is the kind of stuff that I get. My diet, okay? Now, this is interesting. If you go to their collection, you'll see that everything has to do with this figure and things being attached to her nipples, which this appears to be propellers. There are other things that are attached to her that I don't understand why you would want that, but I guess that's what they're trying to sell. But if not for that, this is sort of interesting. Now, the Playboy bikini thing, but there's at least an aesthetic here that's going on. And some people just have photographs. They sent me this. I don't know what to do with it. I guess it belongs to me because it was sent to me. I did not pay for it. I did not ask for it to be sent to me, but it was sent to me. Here's another thing. I don't know what it is. Some black and white thing. Picture of grapes. Now these people, a lot of this stuff is PR stuff. They want you to click on it and go and get it. Here's like a PR one that's just go click on this and view my collection. So it doesn't really have any inherent value. I guess they sent this to me 2 times. Includes unlockable content. I have not unlocked it. I'm not going to unlock it. This is the Ukraine thing. Come celebrate the Ukraine. I have a couple of NFTs from Ukraine. And I guess somebody saw it and said, hey, I'll send him one too. So this is my unseen collection of NFTs. Now, knowing Mr. Gordon, Commissioner Gordon, and his capability to be artistic and interesting, it's crass to say he can beat that, but why not do something fun and try to beat it? Especially when we have an in. I mean, I really thought that these, unknown, unverified artists would just say, oh my gosh, I'll send you 10 things. Because then if Facebook wants to test a static image, they want to test a movie image, they want to test an animated GIF image, they want to do a lot of testing. And I thought these young artists would just jump over it. But they kind of didn't. Give me a hard time. Gordon says, I suppose it was something fun to try. To make something? You don't know until you find out. So that is my story about this NFT alpha testing. It's ongoing, it's interesting, and very intriguing. And I was kind of at the point where I said, well, I'm not going to move things from my established wallet to the other wallet. I'm not doing it. I'm out. And then I thought, the smart artists will see what I'm trying to do for them, and maybe they'll take advantage of it. And it is and isn't happening. It'll be interesting to see what the next few days bring. And now I'm thinking I have to go up the status chain, because maybe the only people who can afford to be involved in something like this are the people who are making the big money. It'll be interesting to see how it all falls out. And now it's time for our very brief and first blood pressure break of the day. Back in a moment. And we're back from break. I'm David Boles. This is Boles.tv, BOLES.tv. With the beautiful and talented Jana Marie right here on my chest and in my heart always. You can buy this shirt on our merch store. Oh yeah. buyboles.com/MERCH. So I've been talking a little bit about NFT art, about school shootings that are now just, what time is it? Oh, okay, time for another school shooting. Let's just kill 3 more kids, see what happens. Parkland, I mean, it just goes on and on. So last week I shared with you the story of one of Jana's people that she works with. One of her jobs is to help disabled people, primarily deaf people, but not always, get jobs. And there are job programs in place, employers who are open, and a lot of employers are desperate to find people who can work hard. And there are jobs that some deaf people are very good at. Even if low information, deaf who do not really have a language because they moved here and they don't speak their home language, and the foreign tongues that are spoken here in English they don't understand. They might have a little bit of home sign, but probably not ASL, but they need to work, they need to support their family. So they can move boxes, they can fold clothes, they can clean things. And in this economy, there are jobs opening up for people who are very good with their hands and who can work independently, which is very good for a deaf person, doesn't have to deal with those hearing people, and be self-automated. There are several deaf people we know who clean houses, and they get paid a lot of money. They're very good. They just go in, clean, don't interact with anybody, leave, paid. So I told you the story last week of this one person who, desperate for a job, did the interview. Her camera wasn't working, so she couldn't see what the person was saying to her in the interview, and so Jana was texting her saying, can you work until 6 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday? And then the consumer would read it, the text, and then answer into a blank screen. Yes, I can. 6 o'clock. Yes, I'll be there. And then afterward, Jana called and said, hey, got a job. And this person burst into tears. And Jana said, why are you crying? You got the job. She said, I know, it was a lot of pressure. And then Jana cried, and then I told her, and I cried. Everybody's crying. I'm not crying, Gordon's crying. So then all these people are ready to start getting trained. And when you get trained to do these cleaning jobs or whatever, you have to usually be on site. They have to show you what materials to use, where to go, how to do it, how they want to do it. So you have to be there in person. This is not something you can Zoom into. And training was supposed to start last week, but because you need interpreters, because these workers are deaf, you have to get an interpreter agency to find you interpreters and send them. And interpreters and interpreter agencies can make a lot of money in this. Lots of millions of dollars a year. Interpreting is very expensive. And usually, a day or two, you get interpreters assigned, they show up, you go. Well, last night, around 7 o'clock at night, Jana finishes working at 4. But because she's Jana Marie, she checks her work email because she's worried that the training starts today, for these deaf consumers that she's been working for months to try to get placed. And she gets notified by the interpreter agency, look, we can't find any interpreters for a while. And Jana's like, oh. Now what do you do? It's, 8 o'clock at night. The interpreter agencies are closed. You can send an emergency request, but that's usually for hospitalizations, not for, we have job training tomorrow at 9 a.m. And she told me, she said, look, there's this trend now that these interpreter agencies have been forced to share with her and other vocational rehabilitation counselors that interpreters are just like everybody else. They don't want to go back to work. They don't want to go back to the way the world was. And he had to go on site and stand there and interpret and have an hour of travel time there and an hour of travel time back, and I'm hot and I'm sweaty, and I just want to stay home and watch television over here and do a little online Zoom interpreting here and make my money. And that is called, in the vernacular, VRI. And I guess it's virtual reality interpreting, but that's the overall poop of it. Let's see. I was going to show this earlier, and then I forgot to look it up. So now I'm going to look it up. VRI interpreting. That's the generic term. Video remote interpreting. And every interpreting agency and other companies now offer VRI. What is it? How does it work? Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of opportunities. Okay, so on the surface of it, you think, well, isn't that great? Now, when a deaf person needs an interpreter, you just, call up this service and they pop up on a screen, you have an interpreter. Our friend Kathy, who's been in the hospital and rehab now for about 8 weeks, going home today. I said, how are they doing this in Omaha with the interpreters? Because, Omaha used to have a lot of interpreters. Now they don't have a lot of interpreters. And she said, it's all VRI. I said, what? She said, yeah. She showed me. She's in her hospital bed. Then when her doctor comes in the room, the nurses wheel over this monitor and computer and big screen, and they click a button, and they're connected to an interpreter, a sign language interpreter, who's not even there, probably half the way across the country. And Kathy can see the interpreter can see her, and they talk, and it's all fabulous. Like, cheers! But when it comes to cleaning pools and learning how to fix things and fold things and move things around, and you need to be on site for your training to go from here to here to here to here, there to there, to know how to do it safely, and you need an interpreter on site to go here, 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 and there to help the person understand what's going on, and the interpreters don't want to show up, now what do you do? Now VRI becomes a plague. Now VRI is bad because you can't say to the company, hey, get a computer and a big screen and wheel it around as you go around the pool. So the virtual interpreter can be there and interpret for the deaf people who are trying to learn their job. You can't have deaf people on 4 different iPhones all looking at an interpreter online, and because the interpreters can't see the person who's being said. This is going to be a gathering storm. Now, do these employment agencies or the state or the provider who usually pays for the interpreter, are they going to in the future eventually pay for some kind of big screen virtual reality thing that will be delivered to the site in lieu of an interpreter, because it will be an interpreter, but not a physical interpreter. And the deaf people can see, and the hearing people leading the teaching and the cleaning can see, and everybody's included. Who's going to pay for that? The internet, the computer. And you can try to force the company to pay for that, but they're going to say, why would I pay for that? You pay for it. I don't want to lug that thing around. That is what I call a gathering storm. And it's not going to end well for deaf people in the field. Now, if you're in an office, if you're in a courtroom, if you're in a hospital, VRI, doctor's office, VRI, hey! Solution to a very real problem. But when your body needs to be in space and time at one place at a certain time, and interpreters will not show up unless they are virtually included, that's going to be big trouble. And it's something that needs to be fixed and addressed right away because it's already happening. So where you say you need a day or two to get an interpreter set up, now what are they going to say? Well, we need a week. We need 2 weeks. And we're getting into the summer, and summer has always been a difficult time to find interpreters because they want to go somewhere. They want to go on vacation. A couple of years ago, there was a 3-week intensive interpreter training session in upstate New York, right? Okay, big gathering once every 5 years. Every single interpreter of record left to go to this thing in upstate New York for 3 weeks. So for 3 weeks, there were basically no professional interpreters to be had anywhere because they were all at that stupid convention. Now you'd think maybe they'd split the convention, have one downstate, one upstate. You know, we have deaf people to serve, so let's make sure we still have coverage while we're having our meeting. But no. Let's just have one, take away all the interpreters, and let's just see what happens for 3 weeks. It was just ridiculous. So for 3 weeks, deaf people in the New York City area had their lives put on hold. And New Jersey, too, because it was a big regional thing. I mean, you could not find an interpreter for 3 weeks. And then when they came back, a lot of them were I'm tired. I've been 3-week intensive. I don't feel like interpreting today. These are supposed to be special people who have a code of ethics, who have declared a responsibility, and some take it seriously and some don't. Well, yesterday we discussed the idea of talking about trans kids and some of the problems they go through, and Gordon said he had some things he wanted to discuss. Gordon, I don't know if you have anything you want to say now, or if you have links, or if you're working on your NFT, I understand. But I have some topics, too, that are all along this line, but I don't know what Gordon wants to say, and this was Gordon's idea, so Gordon gets to go first. And I did do a little bit of research on this, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It boils your blood. Almost as much as, killing children in school, but I guess we don't really care about that anymore. What happens, happens. There's nothing we can do. Everybody has a gun now. It's just unbelievable. Well, while Gordon is preparing, I will begin with this. This is from Purposefully from CBN News. Hey, there's Gordon. It's just a matter of when a comedian says that a trans woman is not a woman because biology, and then they state some things that have been proven not at all correct from many other angles, is not an opinion because you can't use your opinion, to tell someone their lives don't matter. Well, that is very well said and very true. And these young kids are having a hard time. And there are conservative adults who are going after these kids and saying, oh, you've been corrupted. The genitalia you're born with is the genitalia you're going to have for the rest of your life, and I'm not having it any other way. And as people get smarter and more intelligent and more open to different things and changes in life, the conservative pushback is, oh no, you've been You've been corrupted. 10 years ago, we didn't have these trans kids trying to use the bathrooms, and now they're all over the place. Well, things change. People get smarter. People get kinder. They're more open. They don't have to hide as much. So this is from CBN News, Christian Broadcasting Network. Okay, I picked it just for this reason. All over the news yesterday. This is the headline. Well-known insurance company accused of pushing LGBTQ-themed handouts to 5-year-olds. How dare they? What does this mean? State Farm. That's actually our insurance company. We just paid them for another year of terrific service. And I mean that genuinely. State Farm, hey, a leading company within the insurance industry that has served the public for 100 years, appears to be focused more on just selling insurance. Now remember, this is from the point of view of CBN. They have a very specific point of view. But they don't like trans children. The insurer is reportedly recruiting agents in Florida to distribute LGBTQ-themed books to children as young as 5 years old. Emails leaked to Consumers First from concerned State Farm employees show the company engaged in the woke indoctrination of kids aged 5 and over. Leaked internal email from January 18 revealed that State Farm has partnered with Gender Cool Project to promote issues of gender identity in children through advocacy and public awareness programs. Now, what could be wrong with that? You think you can convince a child that they are something that they are not? Well, that is what the conservatives try to do. The project's goal is to increase representation of LGBT books and support our communities having challenging, important, and empowering conversations with children aged 5 and plus. Soto notes that State Farm was looking for 6 agents in Florida that would be interested in participating in this unique project by receiving these books in March, then donating them to their community by the end of April. The 3-book bundle, which is part of the Gender Cool collection, includes a kid's book about being transgender, a kid's book about being non-binary, and a kid's book about being inclusive. State Farm looks to be targeting 5-year-olds, kindergartners. In fact, in the public schools for inappropriate discussions around sexual identity. We want to call them out for that activity and to notify parents and customers of State Farm's activity, so they can hopefully get them to cut it out. But at the very least, make sure that their kids were not approached by State Farm on these issues. So this was the firestorm in the conservative community yesterday. Hair on fire would not be an underestimate. And then, later in the day, we get this. State Farm drops support of LGBTQ kids' books after conservative furor. And this is how they win. They win by shouting you down, by threatening your business, probably some of them by threatening some sort of violence against the people who might participate in this. And so State Farm, who tried to do the right thing, now becomes a double, triple loser. A loser on all sides. Looks weak, incompetent, never to be trusted again by the conservatives. They're in trouble. State Farm's jingle is unmistakable. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Yet, when it comes to State Farm's support of a program providing LGBTQ-themed children's books to teachers and libraries, conservative groups and right-leaning media outlets like CBN News derided the insurance company as a creepy neighbor and accused it of targeting children with books about gender identity. It's so disgusting. I don't even want to read the rest of it. State Farm tells us they're a good neighbor, but why would a good neighbor target 5-year-olds for conversations about sexual identity? That's what State Farm is doing. And talk about children. The people who are complaining about this are children. It's just shocking to me. Hours after a report from the partnership prompted an online uproar from conservatives, State Farm announced, hey, we're State Farm, hey, you know that gay thing? Nah, we're dropping it. We don't support Gender Cool Project anymore. State Farm spokesman Roselle Gadsden confirmed to the Washington Post on Tuesday that the insurance company had, we've ended our support of Gender Cool after it, State Farm, had been the subject of news and customer inquiries. Conversations about gender and identity should happen at home with the parents, Gadsden said in a statement. We don't support required curriculum in schools on this topic. We support organizations providing resources for parents to have these conversations. We no longer support the program allowing for distribution of books in schools. How dare we? Why give a book to a school? State Farm maintained that it would continue to explore how we can support organizations that provide tools and resources that align with our commitment to diversity and inclusion. Unless, of course, CBN News comes after you again. Then you don't know anything about it. Gender Cool founders Jennifer Grosshandler and Ciera Goldstein told the Post that State Farm informed them early Tuesday that, hey, our partnership is over. They have concluded their partnership with us is done. We did some cool things together, and I appreciate the work we did do with them. So that's how you win. You accuse, you make noise, you put people in their place, you make your morality, their morality, and if they don't join you in that repression, then you are attacked relentlessly. And State Farm will never be forgiven for this. State Farm will never be back in the good graces of the conservative movement because they betrayed them, even though they backed down like a coward and did the wrong thing. They shouldn't have made the move in the first place. And now we're taking a very brief blood pressure break. We will return in a moment. And hey, we're back from break. And Jana Marie is here with me on my shirt. So lovely. So nice to see her. Hello, baby. Always together, never apart. Mm-hmm. Good for me, not so good for her. Mm-hmm. Ooh, so we had a wild day so far. Interesting topics about shootings and censorship of children's books because they're the wrong topic. And I'm reminded yesterday of the conversation we had about Eric Bentley. And it made me think about some things and realize some things. Eric Bentley was very, very hard on American drama. He did not like Broadway. He did not like lights that did not light up. He was European-eccentric. He celebrated the European theory of drama. He loved Strindberg and Ibsen and Kurt Weill, George Bernard Shaw. Those were his icons. In America, he couldn't really find anybody that he thought was worthwhile. Nobody was worth his time. And I sort of understand that, because those he supported, Brecht, were super geniuses, as he was, and he got a lot of credit for bringing them, the Europeans, to the American theater market. And when you think of American theater, there really are three that you can think that are modern American dramatists. Eugene O'Neill in the 20s, and then sort of at the same time, Tennessee Williams, 30s, 40s, 50s, and then Arthur Miller, 50s, 60s, 70s. Those are really the three big names. There are no other giants of American modern theater that are playwrights. And then I started thinking a little bit about Bertolt Brecht and the work that Eric Bentley did to make him important to the rest of the world. Without Eric Bentley, there is no Brecht. And Eric was so enamored of him that he got the same kind of bowl haircut that Brecht had. It was weird. And people were very concerned about it, like, what is going on? Is he trying to become Brecht? But I think he was just very impressed, and, like a teenager wants to get the same clothes as their idol, he wanted to have the same haircut, I guess. And then I started doing a little bit of thinking about Waiting for Lefty, which was a political drama in the 1930s, where people in the audience got up and rioted in the streets, and other forms of American drama that had resonance and importance beyond just the page, but on the stage. And then I started thinking about Marc Blitzstein, who was a very, very interesting composer and person. And the gruesomeness of his death. So we would begin with this. Marcus Samuel Blitstein. Born in 1905, dead 1964. Dead at 58. He was a composer, a librettist, and this is when he became really known. And the 1930s in America was a very tumultuous time. You had people trying to unionize. You had the stock market going crazy. You had other people trying to make sense of it all. And there was a very famous musical, The Cradle Will Rock, that was directed by the super absolute complete genius of my generation and generations before me, Orson Welles. And it was supported by the WPA, the Work Progress Administration, which was a program to put people back to work. And if you happen to be an artist, or a painter or a sculptor, you were paid by the government, by FDR, to resurrect America. And there are WPA paintings and post offices and murals and these beautiful works of art that were sustained by money from the government to put people back to work. It was a great jobs program. But even the WPA, like State Farm Insurance, couldn't handle a little bit of outside pressure. So the Cradle Will Rock was originally part of the Federal Theater Project, which was a subset of the WPA. And Orson Welles directed it. John Houseman, part of it, Mercury Radio Theater. And it was all about unionizing. The WPA shut down the project, the musical project, a few weeks before it was to open on Broadway. To avoid government and union restrictions, the show was performed anyway. With Marc Blitzstein playing his own music, playing the piano on stage, and the cast members singing parts from the audience. So they try to shut you down, and super geniuses like Orson Welles and Marc Blitzstein says, we're not going to let them shut us down. They can shut us down, but that doesn't mean we can't sing around a piano and do our show. And that's precisely what they did. That's how they fought back. Now, State Farm could have done a similar thing and fought back against the conservatives for their diseducation of young children. But they didn't. They gave in. Orson Welles and Marc Blitzstein did not give in. They moved forward. And this is evidence of them doing their show. That's Marc Blitzstein in the middle there, singing his songs. Here he is at the piano. Right? Getting ready to perform. January of 1938, America. This is how a play is produced when the government tries to shut you down. You don't let it shut you down. You stand up and find a piano and you get a chair and you tell all your actors, we've rehearsed this. Go do it anyway. And they did. So The Cradle Will Rock was a title with a lot of deep meaning that not many people recognize over the years since 1937. They don't know. They think it's a movie. They think it's a song. They don't know the history of The Cradle Will Rock. But now you do. So Marc Blitzstein didn't stop there. He also did the American translation and adaptation of Three Penny Opera by Bertolt Brecht and Kurt Weill. Discovered, really, made popular in America by Eric Bentley. Marc Blitzstein's works also included the opera Regina and an adaptation of Lillian Hellman's play The Little Foxes, the Broadway musical Juno, based on Sean O'Casey's play Juno and the Paycock, and No for an Answer. He also completed translation adaptations of Brecht and Weill's musical play Rise and Fall of the City of Mahogany and Brecht's play Mother Courage and Her Children, with music by Paul Dessau. Blitstein also composed music for films such as Surf and Seaweed and The Spanish Earth, and he contributed 2 songs to the original 1960 production of Lillian Hellman's play Toys in the Attic. Okay, so, established, well-known, super genius talent. And, oh, by the way, he also happened to be gay. And he was open about it. He told his family, told his sister, 1939, 1937, look, I'm a gay man. I'm living a gay life. This is who I am. In 1939, he was out. And you wonder, well, what happened? Well, let's take a look. This is his Wikipedia page. He was born, he died in Martinique. Okay, that's interesting. Martinique is an island in an overseas department region of France, an integral part of the French Republic. Okay, cause of death, homicide? What? If you don't know the story, this is his official page. What? Homicide in Martinique? What could that be? And then you do a search. Marc Blitzstein. How did he die? And you get pages returning as factual in a Google search. Hey, died in a car accident. Hey, died of a little bit of homicide. Marc Blitzstein was murdered. And then you look up, what is the difference between homicide and murder? Are they the same thing? No, they're not. And look at all these definitions. This one's rather simple. We'll look at it together. Homicide. While some might equate homicide with murder, the American legal definition of those two crimes are completely different. Sirens are coming for us. Homicide, simply defined as the wrongful killing of one human being by another. Okay. Oh, I didn't mean to kill you. Homicide. What if I intended to kill you because you're a gay man and I hate you? I don't think that's homicide. It's a broad term used to describe several instances where a crime committed against a person. Murders, meanwhile, are a subset of homicide. If you kill someone in a genuine act of self-defense, you have not committed a crime. However, self-defense must be proven, blah, blah, blah. Murder, muck-duck, as they do not call it on The Office. In the U.S., muck-duck is considered a capital crime and is a term for criminal homicide. In other words, killing another person in a way that cannot be justified is as reasonable to consider a murder or manslaughter and carries extremely heavy penalties, at least in the U.S., including the possibility of death penalty depending on the jurisdiction. So, what in the world happened to Marc Blitzstein? He's well known, he has money, he's famous. He's a good and attractive, beautiful man. Well, it's hard to find out until you start digging. And I found this amazing page. This is a training page for foreign diplomats. And it's a page that sort of brags about the good job that the consulate did in solving the murder of Marc Blitzstein. The 1964 murder of noted composer Marc Blitzstein in Martinique. And there he is. And this is the story of what really happened to Marc. In 1964, on the French island of Martinique, well-known American composer Marc Blitzstein was found on the street, badly injured and shouting for help. Blitstein had been brutally attacked and robbed by 3 sailors after attempting to pick them up in a bar. He was a gay man, looking. They said no. He said, okay, I'm sure he's not going to fight him. But then they got a little upset, it seems. The U.S. Consular Office in Martinique, William B. Millam, rushed to check on Blitstein in the hospital after the assault. Fantastic. That's what's supposed to happen. Millam went on to a distinguished diplomatic career, serving as U.S. ambassador to Bangladesh and Pakistan. Blitstein tragically died from a ruptured liver caused by his severe beating. Blitstein was best known for Cradle Will Rock, a 1937 musical addressing corruption, union organizing, prostitution, and other sensitive issues in a steel town. The WPA shut it down just before opening night. Blitstein and Orson Welles and the rest of the cast went over to another theater with Blitstein at a battered piano and actors singing from their seats in the audience. The show opened and became a musical theater legend. Blitstein was also gay. Openly gay. And his murderers almost went free because of the stigma attached to homosexuality at the time. And this is in the 60s. Initially, Blitstein told Millam that his injuries were the result of a car accident. See, that's where that started. Result of a car accident, and asked that that information be passed along to his family. Although openly gay, Blitstein had kept his homosexuality private from his family and had briefly been married to Eva Goldbeck before she died at the age of 35. He was not secretive about that. He was very open about being gay. His ultimate decision to report the attack and identify his attackers resulted in the conviction of his 3 assailants of involuntary homicide. It should have been murder and theft in 1965. Millam helped Blitstein secure a translator and a medical examination from the police report. So it's so interesting, the angle, the context of this article is not really about the murderers or about Marc Blitzstein's life or being closeted or being out or being gay or not gay. I think he thought that for his family and for the PR that it's easier to say, look, I was in a car accident. I was not propositioning these sailors and they beat the heck out of me and killed me. That's not really the story you want to tell, probably. So this article is not celebrating Blitstein or the murderers. It's celebrating this consulate guy who got involved. It's fascinating. Here we go. Martinique was William B. Millam's first Foreign Service post in a long career. Joining the Foreign Service in 1962, Millam went on to multiple postings in Washington, D.C. And this is what Millam wrote. This is his report, his consulate report about what happened to Marc Blitzstein. So I drove immediately to the hospital to see who it was and what I could do to help. I found Marc Blitzstein lying on a gurney. And there's Marc Blitzstein working with Kurt Weill. A lot of people draw a total blank at the name of Marc Blitzstein. I didn't know his name myself when he first dropped into the consulate to register as a foreign visitor. The consul brought him in and introduced me to him, and he said he was there to finish his opera on Sacco and Vanzetti. I may have seen him a couple more times in the 6 months or so he was there, but hardly got to know him. Then I got a call from the hospital one day. And there was an American whose name she didn't know, who had been badly injured in a car accident and was at the hospital. So, me, the consulate, I immediately drove to the hospital to see who it was and what I could do to help. And I found Marc Blitzstein lying on a gurney. He said he'd been injured in an auto accident and asked if I would get in touch with his family in Philadelphia. It also turned out he was beaten up by a bunch of Portuguese sailors. At least those were the guys who were convicted in a homosexual encounter. He, Marc Blitzstein, wanted me to arrange a full examination to see how badly he'd been injured. Now that's weird that the patient is not telling the doctors or the hospital, but his consulate, hey, I'm not feeling so good. Do you think you could check on me? Blitzstein then told me that he had misinformed me. Now that's very interesting. Is Marc Blitzstein's life passing before his eyes and he knows time is running out? Okay, I said tell my family I was in a car accident, but that's not what happened. I'm a gay man and I'm an openly gay man. It's 1964, 5. Let's just put it out there. In fact, Marc Blitzstein said he had been beaten up. He wanted to report it to the police. I arranged for a full medical examination and for an English-speaking doctor to participate. Then I returned to the consulate to send a second telegram with the correct facts to his family. I went back to the hospital to learn the results of the examination. The doctor came out of the examination saying, well, a lot of bruises, but he's okay. It seemed a happy ending. I returned to the consulate to do some other work before the end of the day. I went back to see him at about 6 p.m., and he was talking to the public affairs officer and seemed uncomfortable, but okay. So I went home, then to dinner, at a restaurant about 8 p.m. There, I received a phone call from the PAO that Marc Blitzstein had died. Well, it turned out he had been beaten so bad he ruptured his liver. And the medics had missed it. It also turned out he was beaten up by a bunch of Portuguese sailors. At least those were the guys who were convicted in a homosexual encounter. And this consulate goes on to explain, hey, Blitstein was a major figure in American music. His death made the front page of the New York Times. And I made the front page because the Times called me to interview me. Again, point of view, context. It's just fascinating. It tells you so much about what's going on. The interesting coda on that is that I had gone and inventoried his effects, shipped the stuff home that I thought should be shipped home, stuff like pots and pans I sold, sent a check home for all of that, but I had found in his house, way outside of Fort-de-France, as I said, all of his sheet music. I can't read music, so I just dumped it in a box and shipped it home with the rest of his stuff. A couple of months later, I get a telegram saying, where is the Sacco and Vanzetti score? Musical score. Well, I sent back a cable saying I sent everything I found. I got a couple more cables, and obviously they were thinking I had somehow purloined the Sacco and Vanzetti score. I didn't quite know where this was going. And then, would you believe it, the New York Times carried an article that said the Sacco and Vanzetti score had been found in the trunk of Blitstein's car, which he had stored somewhere in Brooklyn before he had gone to Martinique a year before. So what is the conclusion? He wasn't there working on the Sacco and Vanzetti score. He was untruthful for some reason about why he had come to live in Martinique. And that is the end of the story from the consulate's office in Martinique. Blaming the gay man for his own death? Seems like it. And I can tell you, you can work on a musical anywhere in the world, and part of it may be at home in Brooklyn in your trunk, and the rest of it may be in your heart and mind in Martinique. And when you have people like this looking after you, helping you into your death, it's not something I would celebrate on my foreign service page. And then, of course, we get the resume. No, not Marc Blitzstein's resume. No, not what he's done. What this Millen guy did, where he served. And I don't even know if it includes all the lists of people who died under his watch. But Marc Blitzstein was one of them. Marc Blitzstein found a death he did not deserve. And we have to find some kind of take on this. How do you deal with something that awful and that nasty and that convoluted? Well, I tell my writing students and my playwriting students to write your sorrows. And from there, tragedy and happiness can be reborn again. Drama is the magnitude of mourning losses, trying to regain what was once yours. And no real classic play in the history of world drama has been written by a happy person. They've been written by miserable, outcast cretins from society. And I also say, if you're looking for happiness and contentment, you will be much happier in a religious faith. Become a priest, become a minister. Don't become a dramatist. Because dramatists live and must abide in conflict. And when I was young, I was writing a lot of plays, working with local actors, and one of the actors I respected a lot said, all you do is write about death and blood and dying. Why? And I hadn't been trained. I was just writing what I knew and what I thought was interesting. And I said, well, because those are the hallmarks of living and the dangers of death. If you're looking for irrevocable change in a character or in a play, death is one way to get there. You start a play with the lines, "I'm going to kill you," and everything unwinds from there. So Marc Blitzstein had a beautiful, brilliant career and had a horrible, awkward, unfortunate, and unfair ending. Just like the rest of us. And now we'll take one more brief blood pressure break and come back and wrap this up. I'll be back in a minute. And we are back from break. I'm David Boles. This is Boles TV, BOLES television. I'm here with you live Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Now, yesterday I just didn't take my final break and just decided to keep talking and talking. And then I talked to Gordon. And then Gordon gets advertisement and so I said, let's just take the break, hit the ads, come back, and, wrap up. And if we want to say something, we don't have to wait for the ads to finish. And the windows are open today, and boy, we've had a lot of sirens, and now there's banging. So I apologize if you can hear all the construction that's going on. I didn't know it was going to be there, but it is there. I do prefer, actually, the air conditioning. I love the fresh air, and I love a fan. But air conditioning, it's hard to beat. It just controls the humidity just as well as the temperature. So it's been sort of an interesting and odd show today where we talked about the beauty of art. And on break, I see one of my favorite NFT artists who was very successful, who said early this morning, and I sent her a message yesterday and I didn't hear from her. I thought, oh no, she always answers right away. But it was a long thing. I probably said too much. I should have just gotten, do you want to get in, do this or not? Yes or no? And she said this morning, yes, do it, go. And now I just got a message from her saying, where do I send it? I'm in. Which is fabulous. So I have to take care of that momentarily. But it's just hard when you, read the life of people whose job in foreign service or whatever, State Farm Insurance, and their job is to protect other people. Your job is to make sure that Americans are safe and to provide for them if they are not. That when they call for help, that you are there to assist them and not go to dinner or to shirk your responsibility, but to perhaps stay with them and, if you have to, hold their hand. And then when they die, to somehow disparage them and wonder why they were here in the first place is just the height of cruelty and deceit. So today is going to be an interesting day. The rest of the day, there's Mr. Gordon. Commissioner started the construction paper NFT. It all started with one piece of paper and a piece of cardboard, which is provided monthly from the box that comes via Amazon with wet cat food. 2 perfect cardboard squares in every box. Wonderful. Now just make sure there's no logos on there or something, because you don't want people trying to claim your NFT from you. And I have been on Jana Marie. I said, we got to do some ASL NFTs, like people's names or hellos, and make little tiny movies and put them up there and, see if they sell. And now we could actually do it and make it part of this project. Oh, Mr. Gordon's inspiring in many good and evil ways. The good kind of evil, not the bad kind of evil that we found in Martinique in 1965. Gordon clarifies, for the record, they are plain cardboard. Fantastic. So today I'm going to spend the day talking about alpha testing and NFT testing, and most people don't know the difference between alpha testing and beta testing. The difference is this: alpha testing sucks. Everything goes wrong, everything breaks. Beta testing is 60% of things break and don't work right. Release is, 10% of things don't work right. But that's the fun of it. Alpha testing is very hard to get into because it's very destructive, which is why I'm being very careful about my collection to protect it, because I'm the one who collected it. And then I'm going to have to see if I can somehow help with this VRI thing, this virtual interpreting thing, where interpreters don't want to show up anymore in person. Boy, that's the big problem that has to be solved, and emergency flags have to be put up right away. So if you have any questions for me or comments, ideas, find me, david@boles.tv. If you have a question for the Jana Marie, hey, there she is. Hello. Jana at Boles.tv. You can find me on Facebook. Soon, maybe, NFTs on display. Facebook.com/BOLES. Gordon says there was a lovely game I played for close to 7 years. The game studio never took it out of beta, and it shut down updates after all that time. Yikes. Oh no, that's sad. Something terrible happened. That's a story. We should investigate that, Gordon. Why would it not get out of beta? Wow. I guess there wasn't money. That's all I can think of. On Instagram, we are Boles Books. On TikTok, we are Boles TV. And if you are so inclined, you can join our Discord server where we talk. We have an NFT section there where you can upload your stuff, but not sell anything because that would be crass. We're there to celebrate, not to sell. Lots of places to sell, not a lot of places to celebrate. And you can join us there and say, hey. Now, if I type do I have a merch command for this or not? Oh, look at that. You want to buy this shirt? Go there. Cool. Love it. Fabulous. So, Gordon says they had a similar but not same game that was co-branded by a major other game studio, and that game lives on. Wow. That sounds like something's being eaten by another. The mystery deepens. So I hope you have a wonderful day and a good night and a good nap. And when it's time for you to go to sleep, I hope that you will be okay and wake up with your soul full of joy and restoration. And I hope if you ever find yourself in Martinique, that you are safe and comfortable and you do not need help from the consulate. I'll see you tomorrow.